welcome to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And we have a little bit of a perspective for you, or you could call it a hypothesis, however you want to spin it. And we'll be right back with much more on this flash stream. And we also have a guest on the panel, the Lockhart perspective. We'll be right with you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this flash stream, Black Spring with Autumn and the Lockhart Perspective. Welcome, the Lockhart Perspective. Thank you so much for joining me at the 11th hour on this Sunday. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to see this. I know you have done some really good research, and I just cannot wait to sink my teeth in.
Well, you know what? This is where I am right now. I don't know whether I'm informed or whether I'm just gassed up or have I just broken it up with Fox News. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, breaking up is a hard thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, people just keep pouring over. Well, yeah, I thought Fox News. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is really.
It's like we could see one of our friend girls, old men out at the restaurant cheating, and we want to say, "Girl, you being a little faithful, but he ain't no good. Fox wasn't no good long time ago."
Yes, so we'll see. So shout out to everybody in the stream, and shout out to the loyal patrons, the subscribers, and the spirited group over on Periscope, and shout out to AZ Infidel, Old School Wolf Media, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. So let me give you a little bit of background on this situation here. So what we're looking at is we have something from our vetted source, the TNA, the New American, and it is entitled Election Steal. General exposes the real vote fraud the media are hiding. The CIA computer program flips votes. So before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys, as per usual, that the JBS is a constitutional and educational organization that's been around for over 60 years, dedicated to upholding and defending the Constitution and working to preserve our freedoms and liberties in this country. The JBS does not endorse any political party or candidates. Rather, it focuses on the education, training, and development of the American voters. So, without further ado or a don't, we'll play it. Thanks so much. Lockhart Perspective, do you have anything to share? Would you like to warm us up? Give us your best thesis. Your best thesis for now. Or you
Well,
want to
my
wait?
best. Well, I mean, I just think that we really let's just get into it because I think as this story unfolds, we're going to find a lot of information that we possibly didn't know, and we can add it to the pile of things that we're going to parcel out because there's so many different stories. It's like 8 million stories in the naked city right now. And so, it's just going to be another one of those stories that we add to it, and then we can we'll be better informed, Black Spring.
All right. Let me say we won't add to the flavor just yet. We will just get going here. So all right. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll bring you to the story right now. Thanks so much, guys, for spending your time here.
Leader, and we're very fortunate to have. Hello, I'm Bill Jasper, senior editor of the New American Magazine, and today we have a very special guest, Lieutenant General Thomas G. McInerney, U.S. Air Force retired. General McInerney is a very distinguished military leader, and we're very fortunate to have him with us today. But you have been exposing something that's very important concerning the use of computers by secret elements of our government, a computer program, Scorecard and Hammer, So I would just like to turn it over to you, and you explain to our listeners and our viewers what it is that this program is and why, how you came to know about it, and why it's so vital that all Americans find out about it.
Yes, Bill, thank you very much. Hammer Scorecard, I first was introduced to it in March of 2017 when I did a radio show with Dave Janda, Operation Freedom. And I had been, just prior to going on to that show, I was notified by retired Air Force, Navy four-star Admiral Ace Lyons, who is no longer with us, but told me about the Hammer program. And the Hammer program was a SIGINT, Signals Intelligence Program, that the CIA had been using to find terrorists and getting information on what terrorists were doing. A very, very significant program. I was talking about it at that time, having to do with the Russian collusion and how the Obama-Biden administration, under the guise of Jim Clapper and John Brennan, had used this tool, and they'd moved it out 2 weeks after Obama took over. They moved it to a classified skiff in Port Washington in Maryland. They moved it from the CIA location. And they were listening to American citizens, and they were listening to the Trump campaign and many other people. Now, the reason I mention this is because I think we all know the CIA is not authorized to listen to American citizens. And so they were using this tool in that fashion, which they were trying to cover up what they had done in the Russian hoax, the Russian collusion issue, and all the time we spent on what President Trump had done or had not done in reality when the Mueller report came out. And this is all linked to today, because if you take what they did on the Russian collusion, Russian hoax, for 3 years and the $40 million they spent and what they put America through, and then they went into an impeachment exercise, and then they all of a sudden it shows up here. Now, how did it reappear on my radar? It appeared on my radar a week ago Sunday, on the 1st of November. I got a call from a source that they were going to use it, and they had a new application, and if you will, called Scorecard, that could change votes on voting in voting tallies, not on voting machines, but on voting tallies when they got on the internet. So, if you will, for your listeners and viewers, think of Hammer as an iPhone and all the applications you have on your iPhone to do all the different things you do. Think of Scorecard that will go into voting inventories and change the score up to 3%. It's very elaborate, very significant. It was developed by a CIA contractor called Dennis Montgomery, and he built this in 2003 as this foreign surveillance tool. Now, this shocked me. Here it is Sunday night, and the election's going to be on Tuesday. So I contacted a number of people, and Steve Bannon was one of them. And I went on Steve's show, I think mid-afternoon, 1 or 2 o'clock on the 2nd of November, and describe what I'm describing to you, and describe the implications. The implications I described were that President Trump is going to lose this election. They're going to lose it because they're using Hammer in the battleground states. They're not doing it in all of them. You know, you don't do anything in New York or California or Illinois. You go to the battleground states. President Obama and Biden had used it in 2012 in Florida, and then they had used it in the run-ups to make sure it was up to speed, and that in the uh, uh, elections, the primaries, in which Bernie Sanders lost, and they used Hammer to help change that data. And so they had it up, and they were running. They used Hammer Scorecard, so it was ready to go. And I'm talking on Monday before the election and predicting the loss of the election, unless the administration did something about it. And I couldn't get to the right people in the administration that could watch for this. But lo and behold, guess what happened? The election was lost. Now, when you go through the Sniff test and you start thinking about it, you have a candidate, Biden, who did not have one full press conference of an hour of talk. Didn't do that. Stayed in his basement. Barely, just didn't do any campaigning that was significant, and wasn't talking to the American people. Couldn't get through a sentence half the time when he did. And
Didn't have any campaign rallies that amounted to more than a few dozen people.
Right, in cars blowing their horn. And so you're getting now into the Sniff test, Bill, and saying, how could this chap win an overwhelming election when there's 71 million people that voted for Trump? And I would probably say it's going to turn out, when we find these facts out, 72 or 73 million people, because of the shifting change in Hammer. So you've got to go through the analysis of all these factors. The other thing is the write-in ballots that were mailed to people, and you're hearing all sorts of things. Of course, we're all familiar with absentee ballots that have a chain of custody to them. The mail-in ballots had no chain of custody. And then you hear about the voting machines in Michigan and the different problems there, which Hammer is not connected with. And then you hear about like Dominion Software that wrote the software, and I think there were 5,500 ballots, software in Michigan that were changed because they discovered it and corrected it, but they had changed Trump's name to Biden, and that was located in 30 states, that software, and I think in 47 or 40 some different precincts in Michigan. And then you go down to the dead people. Joe Fraser voted in this election, and how long has Joe been dead? And all the other dead people. Then you go to the people with the absentee ballots that had moved. Now, all of this is tactical deception, in my opinion. The key point in the military terms, Bill, is the Schwerpunkt. Where is the key attack? And the key attack was with Hammer and Scorecard, because that
Right. So
shifted big numbers.
It can take months to sort through all of these other common election fraud, cheating that we see with all of the monitors being blocked from observing, and the absentee ballots and all of that. But if they keep us involved in all of that while they are controlling the elections with something like the centralized computer program like this, that guarantees we'll never have another free election.
Precisely. Now, for your listeners and viewers, the way this works is the voting machines are independent. They're not connected to the internet, although I'm starting to see some evidence. There were some voting machines in Texas, I heard, that were connected to the internet. But Hammer doesn't work that way. The way Hammer works is most of the states, the data is funneled from the precincts into the Secretary of State's office. they have a server that collects these numbers, and then that number is sent out. They call them transfer points. Hammer goes into the transfer points, and say, like you had in Michigan at 0400 in the morning on the 4th, when people had gone home, 138,000 votes came in, all for Joe Biden. And that was, to me, a prime target for Hammer. It comes in, people aren't there, not looking. And so the way we have to discover this is you've got to go back and count manually what the data that was flowing in to the transfer points, and then what was the data that came out. Now that's what the Trump team and the DOJ have got to do, because that changes numbers that are significant, 138,000. And if you look at the difference in all the 5 states, that would have a significant impact. So that is, to me, is the real jewel, the real keystone that we've got to be looking at. All of the others, like you say, are tactical deception. We can chase them for months, and we're still only going to get a piddling number of votes. How did he do it in such an overwhelming fashion when he had such an uncharacteristic appeal and program in running? Yet they seem to have supreme confidence. Now, they had the media working for them, saying, there was going to be an overwhelming blue wave, et cetera, et cetera. And the down ballots, look at the down ballots. The down ballots didn't reflect the overwhelming vote that Biden got, did they? So
Right.
again,
So
that's another sniff test.
as one commentator put it, this would be the first election where the coattails didn't follow the coat, and so there were no coattails to this. So
Precisely.
we see no evidence that this great overwhelming support for this non-candidate Joe Biden translated into any downstream down ballot support. And that's I think, as you say, a key sniff test. It shows that they didn't have this completely all worked out in order to that, or they were just the coup plotters are so confident that they're going to be able to pull this off that they figure they can be sloppy like that, and will still go for it.
And that's exactly it. And then you see Fox News, for which I worked 16 and a half years as a military analyst, immediately call Virginia within less than 5 minutes of the polls closing in favor of Biden. They call Arizona, and then they call. Now, I don't know the rationale, but I know it's not the same Fox News that I joined 16 and a half years ago. And I know why they fired me, because I was such a strong supporter of President Trump. But I mean, they said it was because I called John McCain Songbird John. A lot of people call John Songbird John. But so when you see that the mainstream media, and going to prove your point, well, the people wouldn't notice. When you have the mainstream media rolling in behind it, and you look at the technical media, the Twitters, Facebooks, and all that, on the censoring that they have done on programs, for instance, on Hunter Biden's particular escapades, the criminality that he was involved there, and Joe Biden was, how they covered all that up. We have a massive effort by the mainstream media to cover this up, and they hope in declaring him, how the mainstream media has declared him as the winner without any state official declaring that. And of course,
Right, and
many of the polls.
This is so important for Americans to realize and to understand, is not to allow themselves to be psychologically manipulated here by making these these calls ahead of any official call. We're having the media anoint and crown Biden as our new king, when we really haven't followed any of the constitutional directives here. It's the state legislatures that appoint the electors to the Electoral College. And we have to make sure that our state legislatures, particularly those that are not controlled by the blue wave, will hold firm on that and will not allow Fox News or CBS, CNN, or whatnot to dictate who is going to be our new president.
Precisely. And they are counting on that. They got a little sloppy, and that's why I believe they can do it. But for instance, Fox News let Sidney Powell, General Mike Flynn's lawyer, go on Lou Dobbs last Friday. And she mentioned Hammer and Scorecard. She was on the Maria show on Sunday, but she didn't mention Hammer and Scorecard. Now, those are
Right.
the only.
I noticed that she mentioned computer fraud just kind of in general, but she didn't mention Hammer or Scorecard by name or CIA meddling, any of that. What do you make of that?
Well, I believe that Maria said, for me to get you on, Sidney, again, I worked for him for 16 and a half years. So, for me to get you on, you can't mention Hammer and Scorecard. Now, that is pretty outstanding. Yesterday, Brian Kilmeade mentioned Hammer and Scorecard. Now, they're starting to face a little pressure because they are losing their brand name. They tilted on this. The person who runs their war room is a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, and like Chris Wallace, they're not hiding it. Now, we don't have time to go into why Fox is what they're doing, but they were always got at least a fair and balanced, in my opinion. They never asked me in 16 and a half years to say anything, but they have switched. They have flipped. I mean, I can tell you, and they were the primary outlet in the mainstream media because they were so competitive. No longer true. Someone got to them. And so Hannity, Tucker, none of them, Laura, none of them have had anyone on that will talk about Hammer and Scorecard. Now, that is pretty surprising, isn't it? Even Fox and Friends doesn't have anyone that will talk about them in the depth that you and I are talking about today. And well, that's why what you're doing is so important to America, Bill. I can't tell you how important what you are doing is to this nation and to our success. Because if we don't get this right, there will never be another free American election. That cyber warfare will dominate the voting machines.
Well, General, it would seem to me that from a military tactical strategic standpoint, that it would have been incumbent upon the president as commander-in-chief and in charge of all of our police forces as well of the federal level, that he would have sent U.S. Marshals or whatever forces needed to Fort Washington to lock down, clamp down, confiscate the program if it hasn't already been moved. Do you know anything about that? How are we going to get the proof that we need?
I don't know, but I do know that we have the data that flowed in and that we can do the analysis. I'm hoping the president, and I hope your listeners will say, Mr. President, let's examine Hammer and Scorecard in great depth. Let's look at it, because without that information, he's going to come back in, as we talked about, on the tactical deception means of corruption, but it's going to be piddling. Hammer Scorecard is what really tilted it. And that's why they had the conference. Now, you're going to probably ask me, well, why didn't they do that in 2016? Let me just say, in a guarded way, in 2016, they tried, but for whatever reason, uh, something happened and it didn't work. And that's why everybody thought, and why to this day, Hillary Clinton was so shocked that she lost. And for 4 years, they have been trying to get into and saying all the illegitimate, that Trump wasn't a legitimate president, et cetera, and all the things they did to him. Using the politicized intelligence community. We now know what they've done. We're waiting for the Durham report. And of course, so this one, they doubled up and they really made sure they won, because you're not going to ever hear anything about Hunter Biden or John Durham or any of the reports. That will disappear. And they
Right. We've
three
seen
letter
for the last 4 years where all the media were 24/7, Russia, 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 every kind of racism, extremism, one label they could put on Trump and conservatives, nonstop going on that, but not a word about all of the corruption, all of the blatant bribery and potential treason on the part of Hunter Biden and his father, Joe Biden. That cannot be subjected to the magnifying glass. That has to be swept aside. And that's what we've seen. We know that if they can, they'll sweep all of this aside and everything else that that would reflect any kind of corruption on the elections. So it's very important for Americans to spread this and to get the talk show hosts at the very least and the social media, alternative media, to start mentioning this, so that we have the public support for when President Trump actually does move on this. And I hope it is soon, or we're not going to see, as you said, we're not going to see another election. Another free election. They have elections all the time in communist countries. They have them in China. They have them in Russia. Every place else. But we know that, as Stalin said, it's I don't care how you have the elections. Just we want to count the votes. So they are counting the votes now, and they're doing it in a very very illegal way. This is an important point. Most Americans know that it's illegal for the CIA to spy on Americans here in this country. And so this program, which was developed for the CIA, you mentioned Dennis Montgomery. He is the gentleman, the computer expert who developed this for the CIA. And then he exposed it as a whistleblower. So my understanding is there are huge gajillion terabytes of data that he brought out, very damning evidence. So we do have quite a bit of evidence on this, and it shows that this program does exist and has been used. Some of this has come out in WikiLeaks. So we know that they've been doing this for a number of years. And as you say, past elections, they have begun using it. And apparently if they didn't perfect it, they got it to a level where they could actually throw the big election just this past week. But this is
correct.
all illegal. This is all illegal, unconstitutional, criminal. What they are doing, just using the program here, even before this past week came about.
Exactly. And it would be the biggest crime and action again in our history. What we are talking about right now, Bill, is the greatest crime in our history. And this was what we call a SAP program, a special access program. And very few people have knowledge of it. I could give a lot more background on it and how it was converted. But the important thing is this has changed voting in our nation. Let me quote what you quoted and what Joseph Stalin said. I consider it completely unimportant who in the party will vote. or how. But what is extraordinarily important is this: who will count the votes? Computers count
Very
the
good.
votes
I'm
for
glad,
us
I'm
now.
glad you brought up that quote. Yes.
Computers do our counting for us now. And between you and I, this is a trivial solution to do. And when you have all the mainstream media weighing in the manner they have, that we have we're at a tipping point in America on which this is go with the direction we're going. And that's again why I feel it's so important what you are doing, Bill, and what the American people have to do, because the mainstream media has bowed out. They have tipped and they are on their side, and they are censoring us with the social media. They're censoring us even on the mainstream media, because Fox itself will not mention, or very rare, that Hammer Scorecard exists or explain to their listeners what it is. And
Right. So we see that the coup took place in the media years ago. The globalists, those who are pushing this, captured most of the media years ago, and now, so the media coup took place long before the political coup, and that they recognized that that was going to be essential to pull off the political coup.
exactly, exactly. And they did it in our education system. It is very elaborate. It's been patient, but now we are at that key tipping point, and the American people have got to rise up and demand from this president that they investigate, and the Justice Department investigate Hammer and Scorecard and all the electronic scoring that was done, and the patterns behavior, and put the whole patterns of behavior. And this is how we do it in the intel business: get the patterns of behavior and weigh it down, and then look at where the key points, the key states, what is going on. I mean, we're still counting in Pennsylvania. We're still counting in Arizona. We're still counting in Georgia. And yet they have been crowned. And the fact is, it is dangerous to do this. And this tide that they're trying to sweep over us and ignore it, and praise new President-elect Biden. Let's do it constitutionally. If he won legally, I have no problem. But if what transpired was using a cyber warfare package called Hammer and Scorecard, I am deeply troubled, because our nation is now at risk. Treason has been committed.
That's a very important point to make. This is treason. This is treason, and we see many of the people who are involved in pushing this are actually officially aligned with our enemies, particularly the communist Chinese in Beijing, but also with Russia. The ones who are shouting Russia, Russia, Russia the loudest are the ones that have been in bed with Russia and Ukraine and other countries like that.
Precisely. The globalists and all of them. And their huge amounts of money that we're facing. So you are doing a great service to the nation, Bill, and the American people, to educate them. And they must say to the White House and to the public, the American people must rise up and say, we want a full accounting of the electronic scoring in all the states, but primarily the battleground state that was a determining factor. We must have that, so we are satisfied. If you and I are satisfied once that is done, then we accept the result. But if it's not done, and it's swept over with the tide of the mainstream media declaring Biden as the president-elect, et cetera, then we have done a great disservice to this great nation. That's not going to happen while you and I are around. I know that.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to also, people are saying, well, okay, what can we do? Well, we can appeal to, as you say, to the president, let him know that, hey, we need to get into this. Do not yield to all of the pressure from the media and even from those within the Republican Party who are just saying, oh, it's time to move on. Let's not belabor the point. This is not belaboring a partisan point. This is, as you say, if Joe Biden had won fair and square, I might not like it, but that we accept that. That's the way it works. But when it is clearly a case of total fraud and treason at very high levels, then we can't accept that, and we can't just move on and say okay, because what comes after that is too frightful to contemplate. So people are saying, what can I do? And in addition, I would like to stress that people can and must besiege their state legislatures, because they're the ones who are going to seat electors. And many of the governors and the secretaries of state and attorney generals and the state legislatures are being pressured by the media, by the constant drumbeat of President-elect Biden, Vice President-elect Harris. They say that enough that we're supposed to just accept that. No, we can't accept that, and we have to make sure that our state legislators say no. We're going to wait until we have a full accounting, and we're going to appoint the electors to the Electoral College who decide who is truly the president in the constitutional manner.
Precisely. And we're going to have to challenge maybe that 14 December date in which they're supposed to declare that. But whatever it is, we must do it. And the president's got to move expeditiously to move out and examine Hammer and Scorecard fully, so that he's satisfied, and the American people, that I can come to you and say, I'm satisfied that it was either used or it wasn't used, and that the scoring that they have is accurate.
Well, General, thank you so much for taking on this challenge and for fighting this fight. This is this is the crowning of your career, I'm sure. And for any soldier, any fighting man, we have to jump into this full bore. And we'd like to have you back on again. Hopefully you're going to be besieged with requests now, and that you're going to be busy from morning till night on media getting this message out. But God bless you. Keep up the battle. Keep up the good work. And we thank you very much, General.
Thank you, Bill, and God bless you. And anytime you want me, I'm ready to go for you to support what you are doing to tell America what the facts are. Thank you.
Thank you, General.
All right. You guys still here? I just need to know everybody has a pulse.
I'm still here. I don't know whether you can hear me, but I'm still here.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes. So, where do I begin? Thanks so much, everybody. I just want to give a quick word to those that are in the stream right now. Thanks so much for coming in, and that you had a bit of intel, which I think is more than interesting, coming from a retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General McInerney. I think I'm getting that wrong, but you guys can work that out. But back to you, the Lockhart perspective. Would you like to give us some of your? Would you like to reflect on that, or what do you think of that intel? Do you think
I this is what I think. Go ahead and ask. What was the question? Do I think what? Because I have loads.
Yeah, more questions, right? So I guess what I'm saying, what I want to start off with is, we kind of preface this with the amount of bombshells. We just keep getting bombshell and a pylon, but what do you think it's going to take? Is this going to be, he mentioned the word, peddling, or, I don't know. I'm thinking, is that synonymous with egg on your face? I mean, what do you think it's going to take, for the bombshell to land? What are we going to land? Are we going to land anything with this? What do you think? What do you think about what's at stake? Or, I mean, just what do you think about just the scope of what he added to what's been, been revealed so far?
Well, I tell you, that was a pretty interesting, audio video of him. But I think the very first thing that stands out in my mind is it's actually two pieces. The first piece is that even prior to 2016's election, excuse me, the public was being bombarded with a bevy of information that seemed to be quasi, quote unquote, I should say, top secret type of stuff. Top secret type of stuff on the person, the other lady who didn't win. And then just a lot of rhetoric and a lot of information, a lot of things that could sway the listener's opinion, obviously in a, in a good way, considering you didn't want to be involved with somebody that had even that track record, right? So a few months back, I remember saying there's so much information that's coming out that is alleged and it is top secret and it's very, what we shouldn't know. And I wondered, I said, how is it that we know this stuff and the people who are supposed to know the stuff don't know it? And then the second half of that is, okay, so let's take what this gentleman said, that he tried to get the information to the president, and for whatever reason, it wasn't able to get to him. I really honestly cannot imagine the president being in this bubble with the people that he knows and trusts, as well as those who are around him that he can't trust. I can't imagine him being around all of those people and nobody knew about this. So for me, when I hear this type of information over the past 4 years, they've already worn me down to a place to where I say, oh, wow, that's amazing. And it's sad that I feel like that, but it's as if to say, hey, there has been so much corruption that we are privy to as the American public that it right now just seems like gossip and rumor, even though these things have truth to them. And even though these things are treasonous at best, I just feel like to add more information on the pile for me, it just seems as if it's just information. Because no matter how many people I tell, the people who are supposed to be making the changes, the people who should have eradicated that entire system when the rumors were going around Washington and Virginia and every place else, back when they first found out about this, those individuals should have been eradicated then. We shouldn't be dealing with all of this corruption that we're dealing with right now. I feel like whenever I make that type of comment, I always hear, oh, well, they weren't able to stop them because this person stopped them, or that person stopped them, or this individual, this group of people wouldn't let him do this, or he wouldn't be able to do this. So now he's waiting. Listen, excuse me again, but it's old dark 30. And being that it is old dark 30, it would appear to me that if there was something that you could do, you would have already done it by now, especially in light of the fact that we have this circus being played out in front of us. Now, all the things that I'm saying could appear to be, the devil's advocate at best. But I am a woman of a certain age, and I have learned that if there's information that is pertinent to anything and it could save somebody or it could prevent others from going through something, the powers that be generally would, if they were all equal, would jump in and handle it. So I hear this. I heard the stuff that went on in Canada. I heard the stuff that went on in Germany over the past couple of days as it relates to servers and things of that nature. I get it. But until I see people actually until we actually are starting to hold trials that have an end date to them, I don't want to hear any more of I tried to tell them, but they wouldn't listen. Because there's a reason why they didn't listen. Could it be, again, playing devil's advocate, could it be that they already knew? Just a question.
Yes, I can see it's really it's more than disheartening because we have, as you described, we've had so many accounts to come out, and we've had it's totally piled on at this point, and it's just I don't know. I mean, you're right. I agree. How can things be how is this big at this? How are we dealing with this heap of corruption, and it's never been, nobody squelched any of it, ever. So it does seem like, this is, I've said this before, this is the greatest show on earth. And I just think things will just kind of keep coming out. It'll just keep coming out. And I'm not sure where this is going to go. And,
Well, it's gonna. I can tell you, in my impression. I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
here is the deal. After you sit around just as regular people, say for example, you're at a job and you see that there's the executives and they come in and out in their suits. You're just a typist. I'm just a receptionist, or we're just people who work in customer service. So we see these high power people coming in and out all the time. And then you've got the mid-level management, which is going to be your supervisors and stuff, right? They're above us. Okay. We're just the regular folks going to work every day. The other people are above us. Now, you have myself that is privy to information because the middle people started telling. Okay, I'm privy, you're privy, the middle people, the supervisors started telling. Okay, so if they're telling us what the higher ups are doing, then that means if nobody's doing anything and nobody's saying anything, then it's the higher ups that are all in this thing together. I hope I'm bringing that picture with some clarity. I hope I am, because the way that I see it is you got all of these people up high and they are doing some corrupt stuff. But then you got the mid-level people tattletelling and giving all that information out. And I don't have any power. The only thing that it could do to the lower ranking people is cause dissension in the ranks. The only thing that it can do is cause confusion. It can cause me to dislike you because maybe you like the CEO and you think that he or she is a great person. Now you're angry at me because I'm telling you what just happened. And it could be, and vice versa. Maybe I like the CFO and the way that they spend money. You know what I mean? Maybe he, or she spends all kinds of great money. They put some new tables in the break room and it just made me happy. So I like him or her. So what I'm hearing from these mid-level people is just ticking me off. But all that's going on while they're still leaving, going on their vacations and their retreats together, while all the upper management is still having their bonuses and getting their money and lining their pockets, all that's happening is the lower ranks the morale is low. The natives are restless. We all arguing amongst each other. We've got little cliques now. One group of people sit in one part of the break room and the other people sit in the other part of the break room, but we just can't stand each other. But what they're hoping is that our dissension somehow makes us a little more productive. And at the bottom line, we can't see what's really going on while they're getting their bonuses. The bonuses we were supposed to get are getting a little teenier at the end of the year. They're not as robust as they once was. And yet we can't seem to get any word through to any of them. That is exactly what this is. And that's why I continuously say that this is two sides of the same exact coin. Because the only people who are gaining anything from the information that we are hearing is the people up there. Because if they're not acting on it, then in a minute, somebody is going to start acting on this stuff. And I think that's what they want. But because we have, as I said before, fluoride-laden water that we bathe in and brush our teeth in, and because we're now a little more anesthetized than our forefathers were, it's taking a whole lot more crap for them to allow to flow from the top down. And so they're wondering, Goodness gracious, when are they going to get tired? Is there no insurrection among them? Is nobody going to have any? Ain't nobody going to get mad? And so that's what I feel that it is. It's just a show for them to see how much, it's a litmus test, if you were, to see how much we can take. And once they see how much we can take, then perhaps they'll lower the hammer. But as long as we're down here not stopping and saying, wait a minute, Betty over there at that break table, you ain't got no problem with me, do you? And Betty says, no, girl. As a matter of fact, I just love those shoes you wore last Wednesday, but I didn't know if I could come and tell you. Well, girl, come on, let me show you where I got them. Now we're friends and buddies. We're talking. Oh, that's not making them up there too happy. Why? Because they know that as long as we are together in one accord, okay, that it's doomsday for them. Why? Because now me and Betty gonna come to the table when they gonna giving us them little birthday parties that they try to throw every other month. And we're gonna say, yo, this cake is cool, but what's up with our bonus? Huh? That's the problem. And as long as we do not see that there is not this right side, that there is not this left side, it is just them against us. There is no justice, it's just us. There is no justice, it's just us. And we can keep fighting and we can keep being angry and we can keep feeling despondent because of what's going on. And we just thought we had a king and now we don't have a king. And oh, we just know that the bad king is coming. Look, them cats ain't no different. They are a good cop, bad cop. If you watch Dragnet, you know Friday is the bad cop one time and the other cat is the good cop. This just bad cop, good cop. That's all this is. And they're waiting. So they're just waiting to see how much we can take. But here's the part that we need to be looking out for. While all of this corruption and all of this mess is being tossed in our face and this information is being given to us, what's really going on? That's what we need to be looking out for. What is really going on? What's happening with Iran and China's relationship? Why are they so buddy-buddy? Why did they sign documents that say, okay, we love each other, let's roll with the oil together? Okay? We haven't heard anything about things that we need to be paying attention to. Why are they signing stuff in the dark and we don't know about it unless we go dig? We better wake up. Because if what they're trying to do next with these alleged truck strikes is going to happen, I don't really think that regular people understand that if that rumor has any validity to it, and the trucks of the United States just stop for 10 days, let them just stop for 5 days. My husband's over the road. You let it stop for 5 days and see what happens. So what you need to be doing is people need to be making sure that when you go to the store, it's like I've been saying, I can't say it enough. Hey, you go to the store, you buy 1 gallon of water, you better buy yourself 2 more. You go and get yourself the most essentials that you need, you better get a little bit more. You better not be spending your money out here on things that you really don't need. Man, those rims can wait. Trust me. Because if something happens and you can, what good are rims if you can't leave the house? Huh? What good is a new cap if you can't leave the house? Sisters, what good is a new pair of shoes if you can't get out the house and walk nowhere in them? Now this could be far worse. You know what I mean? The description that I'm using, it could be far worse. I could be asking, why did Canada and California get a bevy of guillotines just recently? I could be going there, but I ain't trying to be the heavy. Because when you're dealing with folks, sometimes you got to give them a little bit of milk because they're not ready to handle the beef. You want to know where's the beef? They're not ready. Just watch. That's all I got to say. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the next episode because I don't think people are gonna be able to hang with the next episode. That's just real talk.
Yes, and we seem to be. I'm on your coattail, if you will. I mean, picking up that extra canned good. It's right about now, because yes, I do think that. I mean, to me, it's there's a lot of heavy distraction, and I think that the greatest effect is, is the discord and the dissension in the streets, if you will. And I think many people can't really see beyond that. And I think that's a good place for you to be, for in their case. Um, so yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm also echoing the same sentiment, in which I don't know if I'm accepting the idea that, or not the idea, but that the statement that he made that, oh well, I couldn't quite reach the people that I needed to. But you just gave all this intel information, and I just I can't. I'm not sure how to process that any other way, other than it goes in it rank and files with some of the rest.
Exactly, exactly. And you and I, we're good friends, so we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. They're just the people in the chat are really just listening to some of the kind of conversations that we generally have. um, and so you know what I mean. I just feel as if I'm a little done with the whole thing. I'm just a little done with the circus that is. And I agree with you. They do want to know, when does it all end? I don't know when it all ends, but I know that this vaccine has a lot to do with the ending or the next phase. Let's just say it like that. I think there are a lot of people out there that have not done their due diligence, even where that's concerned. You know what I'm saying? There's like so many major things that are facing us right now. And we, the people, to use that term loosely, have absolutely no power to do anything right now. I mean, even though we all know that we are in control of our own physical bodies, try going into a store without a mask right now. Even though you may have your personal convictions about wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, my point is just try going into a store, free person, without one. Tell me about your experience when it's over. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like all of these things are done to keep the confusion going. All of these things are done to keep us divided. And all of these things, most importantly, are done to keep our eyes shrouded. It's like a wolf in the hen house right now. It's just like, and so I appreciate him for coming out. Very intelligent man. My father was military. My father was Air Force. So I have great respect for our country. I have great respect for who we were. I have great respect for all of that. I have great respect for the values that we once stood for. But if we're looking at it honestly, we will know that there is a difference with the people that are up above us now as it relates to their behavior, because their family lineage can never change. These people are just recycled individuals. The same folks that you see up there is somebody's grandson who was who was a congressman. That's somebody's grandson. He was too, though. You feel what I'm saying? So all of the stuff that we're seeing right now is just regurgitated garbage. But because now we're in another time frame, we're dealing with the corruption that is this type of corruption right here. We can see it because we have social media, because we do have a lot more choices of news media to watch or papers to read or things like that. And they can, like we said last night, they have propagandists who are on the payroll to continue to leak stuff and give us the confusion. It's just when we see it, what do? Do you get all hyped up and spend a whole day, you know what I'm saying, watching it and listening to what they're saying? You know what I'm saying? And the wives haven't gotten up and cooked no food for the kids. Babies running all over the house. Stuff ain't gotten taken care of because our eyes are elsewhere instead of focusing on the important stuff. So it is something for us to look at. It is something for us to make our strategic plans for within our own household. That's what this is about. This is about, okay, I see you idiots. I see how you guys are behaving. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I see you. But at the same time that I see you, I know that I've got to take care of me because y'all are tripping. And unless the hand of God comes down and deals specifically with you, which we cannot discount him at all, then there's going to be this problem. It's going to be this problem. It really is. What did you think about it?
Well, I do. I think that it's been. I'm just exhausted from the amount of bombshells and the amount of I guess I'm more exhausted with the way the media has, the way they're pushing this thing, the way they are demanding. They're basically telling you this is what it is. This is your president elect. What is the office of the president elect? I don't know. I can't find that. I can't quite find that. that documentation anywhere. But they're not going to stop. I think, well, actually, I think some of the media, I think even Fox, what was it, maybe Brit Bear, it seems like they're kind of sort of starting to walk back or backpedal on even some of the results that they called. But, to stay in the loop of it all. I mean, I'm not jumping on every single liner that I see, because I just don't, until there's actually some type of, until there's some significant, change or developments, I'm still kind of standing by, just watching it. I entitled this thing, "Are you gassed up yet?" I've been saying all
Yeah.
week, this is the greatest show on earth, because it just seems like, it's a plan. It seems that there's a plan. There's a plan. We don't know what it is, but there is one, and there's plenty of people in on it.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't think I'll be satisfied until I see them hammering together a few gallows. I think once I see that in Washington, they start hammering them up and making little boxes and putting little sticks up there and everything. That's the only time I'm going to be satisfied, because as far as I'm concerned, the things that have been done against Americans, the level of treason that has been acted out by those that have been sent in public office by the people, I believe that level of treason, there should be no secret flights to Guantanamo. No, sir. Those things need to be, no, sir. You don't deserve a flight on my dime. No, sir. Let's go ahead and hustle your rump down here to the front, and we're just gonna do what we need to do. That's how it should be done. And because it's that level of corruption. I mean, look here. You can't even make a mistake and move a decimal the wrong way on your taxes without somebody coming to your house. So for real? Seriously?
Yes, I absolutely love your justice, just us. That
Hello?
is absolutely right on. It's, then that's why I'm saying, I just, even going forward, people are, the integrity of the election going forward. Well, a lot of people have already been, a little bit blase about their civic duty, and I used to really look, a little side eye at those people, but I'm starting to see this is where people become more and more detached, and they start to bear no civil responsibility for what's going on. No, they don't want to deal with the civic duty because they don't believe that it's real. They don't believe there's any teeth behind it, if you will. They don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, I just feel like the first level of mistrust for me, you know, uh, here's what I think. Gaslighting is a heavy thing. You know what I'm saying? Chicks get gaslighted all the time. We can be dating a dude and he's like, "Oh, well, what you getting upset with me?" Well, could it be because you came in here at 3 a.m. in the morning smelling like perfume and all that lipstick all over your neck and your shirt? What you mean? What am I getting upset? Well, I don't know. What's your problem? You crazy? What's wrong with you? He wants to act crazy. Chicks get gaslighted all the time. Dudes as well. You know good and well that is not her brother calling her at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. No, sir. And why is her phone face down on the nightstand all the time? Why is it locked and you don't have the lock? And then she gets upset with you and tells you, "Well, what's wrong with you? This is my phone. What's the problem?" Well, could it be because of all of the aforementioned attributes of our relationship? So gaslighting is something that happens all along, and we always side eye that person that we're dealing with. But it seems to me that when we're being gaslighted by those that we voted for, it's almost like we don't want to admit that there is a fly in the buttermilk. We don't want to admit that you could be taking advantage of me right now, player. We don't want to admit that. We want to hold on to our sacred cow. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I voted for President Trump in 2016. That is not a secret. I say that on my channel. I let it be known. But by the same token, I feel like my vote, it's not a reverse situation. You see, I have the right to vote for you, but you have a responsibility to do what I sent you there for. And if I see anything that is a bit suspect, I will do as I so eloquently do and write you letters and send you emails, and then I'll tweet you, and then then I'll Instagram you, because that's me. Don't send me anything asking me for any money, because you will get a response, which they have. Okay, so what I'm saying is I've earned the right, because I have put in that work. And if you ain't putting in that work, then yeah, you might think, hey, well, she's just full of herself, the things that she's saying. No, I have put in that work. I have written emails. I have called. So I feel like unless we, allow them to continue to keep the tables the way that they are, which means when I get up here, I can do whatever I want. First, all I heard was lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. And I was like, yo, lock her up. That's right. Go ahead on, do that, boy. Do that. And then I stood there, like the first week I still had that smile on my face, and I'm like, yeah, he gonna get her, yeah, just watch. Boy, I tell you, 2 weeks in, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's getting used to things. He's getting used to the place. You know what I'm saying? He gotta learn where they gotta park the car and where they can and cannot go, all that. He gonna get it, or you just watch. And then 3 weeks in, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not nervous. No, it's gonna happen. And then old boy got in front of her and her husband in a room full of a whole bunch of people and said, yes, these people, the Clintons, they're really nice people. They're really nice
Wow.
people. And then I had a glimmer of hope. Wait a minute now, because remember, I was die hard. I had a glimmer of hope. And I said, he's setting them up to lower the boom. Oh my God, this is gonna be good. Popcorn in tow. I had my soda water. I'm sitting there. And I'm waiting. And then 1 year passed, and I started scratching my head. I'm like, okay, but it's coming. Then the second year passed, and then the third year, I was like, well, wait a minute, what's going on? And so then I began to start doing some digging, and then I said, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Not only was y'all at each other's parties and weddings and things of that nature, there's some far, 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 far distant relations between you and old girl. Shows that y'all got some blood flowing betwixt you somewhere. And I don't know about you, but the last time I heard, blood was a whole lot thicker than water, even if it is 10 times removed, 8 times removed, 6 times removed. You feel me? So I'm not Sideshow Bob anymore. I'm just not Sideshow Bob. It's the bad part. You don't got to show me to come out now. Now show me. And don't be telling me about, oh my gosh, did you see what happened? They said that he did XYZ. Now, one thing I know for sure that he did do, and my hat will tip to him 10 times on Sunday and every day in between. And that is, he went in there and got them cats that was tearing them children up and that was doing all those terrible things to those kids. When he pulled that ship into San Pedro and let it dock right there and brought all of those children that they had rescued from all of those doggone tunnels up out of there, and that was publicly stated. He literally did a press conference on that. Oh, yeah. I said, that's my president right there. Why? Because you're showing me what you said you was going to do. So you get a point right there. But you ain't getting no points for stuff talking about, oh, they're nice people. Yeah, no. You don't get nice points for that. You get nice points for when I see you do good, and then I see the results. I see too many people walking around free. When, like I always say,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? We got too many folk walking around. They ain't got no silver bracelets. They ain't got no bracelets that match. I mean, I remember seeing a boot on McCain and adios after that. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. So I don't know. And I can't get what all these people talking about. Oh, no, those are doubles. Really?
Yes. It's I've I mean, I will, I'll go back to I think 2016 was, I don't know. And I say this regularly. I say that, I don't consider myself a red pillar. I don't think I'm a red pillar. I think I would be a founding red pillar if that existed, because I started my journey longer ago than this year. But, I'm just at a loss, because I think we've heard allegations, we've got, it's expose. I mean, is it enough just to expose treason? I mean, is this what we're doing? But but like I've said this to you before, that, as long as there's something going on, as long as they can keep the hamster wheel going, I think they're doing whatever things are happening behind the scenes that's where the real meat is behind the scenes, what we're not hearing about, whether it's in Congress or whatever. But the little bone scrap that people are doing out here on the ground and at ground zero, and what I think these posterity looking events, I don't think that's going to be enough. I just don't.
I agree with you. I don't think so either. And yet, they're gonna keep doing them. I don't know. I'm just a little, I don't know. I'm just a little done. Just stick a fork in me. I'm just
we'll put you on the counter right about now.
Hey, just set me on the counter. Thaw me out. I'm finished. I'm just through. I'm just like, it's like, I appreciate the gentleman, the colonel. I think, was it a colonel, a general, or major?
He's a general.
I appreciate him. He seems like he is a patriot who loves this country. And my heart goes out to people like that, because those are the people who do with that information what they are supposed to do. He took it to who he thought was going to fix it. But now we got to look at how many layers of dodo birds is in between the front gate and him and the president. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got all these gatekeepers that don't even have his best interest at heart. And I don't say I can't remove him from having fault with that, because had it been me, I would have Hillary Clintoned everybody. Just like her and her husband went in when he first got in office. She went in and she fired the lot of them. Ain't no questions, ain't no talking. Put up a "we hiring" sign, and y'all got to go. Hey, that's your plant over there in the corner. You might want to pick it up, buddy. Take your plant. Take your potted plant, the picture of that unattractive grandkid, and get out of this office. She kicked them all out. That's what he needed to do. When you say you're draining something, you clearly don't keep, you know what I'm saying, all of it. You go in there, you're going to drain it, but when you drain it, then you got to clean it. And after you clean it, then you can start putting the pretty little plants inside the aquarium again. You'll get you a couple of new fish and put them in there. The ones you went to the store and picked out, not the ones that somebody else, not the piranha that the last guy left. You don't leave those in your tank. No, you drain it, you clean it, you start clear. Maybe we wouldn't have had all of this stuff. So that's the reason why I say, yeah, okay, y'all.
Yeah. Well, I just think that, maybe if people are not swamp creatures, they will become by osmosis. Is that possible?
Yeah, no, not today.
Yes, well,
Oh,
I'm glad that you were able to come on during the 11th hour, because like I said, I can look at a lot of different sources, but every now and then I see one that's like, okay, let's go with let's try this one. And which I think he taught us a lot about about what he taught us. He revealed more, of course, on the CIA and the things that they've done. But yeah,
the general.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, he did. He really did.
He named specific things, and I'm not saying that he's not credible or that he's not this is not valid. I'm not even lending whether I believe it's false or true. I mean, true or false, but I'm just thinking, we have not seen. I don't know. I just think we've been gassed up by so many. Like, I mean, AG Barr is the other one that I'm just thinking he just pops up like a Pop-Tart every, and it's like with the pressure, you got that pressure that you need to, and then he comes up, but then what? But then what? Okay, we've got, and then the Durham report. I think he even mentioned that. I haven't heard anything about the Durham report. I don't think.
Well, they said it wasn't coming out until after the election. Remember?
Yeah, that was the last thing that I heard. But yeah. I mean, how many more bombshells and exposés and probe? My gosh, even probe
Look,
ad infinitum,
well, the
more
only people
discourse.
that's getting only people that's getting probed right now is us without any lubricant or permission. As far as I'm concerned, they really in a minute, and I don't know when that minute gonna be, but it's gonna be some real stuff jumping off because and the sad part is it's going to be us against us again, people against the people. That's the problem. And it's
Yes.
almost, and so I really feel like I want a lot of them gone. I want all of them out of there. I want everybody gone. I want the smallest government possible is really where I feel right now. I feel like if my tax dollars are paying for all of this stuff that's going on, I really want to say, you know what? Move out the way. We coming. 30,000 of us, all of us meet up there and say, okay, we're here to ask y'all for your keys because y'all fired. All of y'all are fired. In a perfect world, that would be great. You know what I'm saying? If we could just say, hey, that's it. You got to go. Hey, I'm sorry. Is that your bicycle that's parked out in the front? Go ahead on, get on it and roll out.
Yes. Well, I don't think I just don't, I don't know, when he says, I don't know, did he mention like what we the people have to rise up? Okay, what does that mean? They just got back into their cushiony little offices, or they're on the cusp or on the brink of their runoffs, and it's just they are playing by a totally different set of rules, and the whole left right part of it to me is just getting to be, it's starting to feel disingenuous. It does. It really does. But they have to keep it going. They have to keep it going. No matter
Yeah.
what keystones, are out there, we just haven't seen, we haven't seen the developments that we need to see. I don't know. I think there's enough. I mean, for just us, that's plenty. We would be already locked down, right? We would already be in chains, in bondage.
Well, I think, see, here's my idea about the whole bondage piece. Unfortunately, our country has had a bad history as it relates to slavery. Okay, there are other places as well, but we're not from there. We're from here. So our country has had this bad memory of the slavery that once was, with my ancestors, Native American Indians, later called colored, and then later called something else, and now we called, then we was called black, and now we're allegedly African American, for which I do not, I don't deal with that at all. But we have that bad history. Now, all of us are slaves. Let that sink in.
Yes. What can we start with? 1913?
Well, yeah, all of us are slaves now, because when you consider the fact that, let's look at your paycheck, for example. Paycheck, the word slave was really dealing with employment. And the reason why now you have a minimum wage specifically is because of employment laws, because of slavery. Let that sink in. Do some research. Remember, my degree is in human resources, human capital, as we've changed it now. Okay, so let's go a little further. But now, when you look at your paycheck, you see all of this money going everywhere. And after the government gets theirs, they made sure that they have buddies in other directions that can make sure that you're giving large amounts of money for electricity that you possibly should have never been paying for, water that is very tainted, but yet and still you still have to pay for it, and the sewage thereof, you've got to pay for that. So then you got some more money going out for the trash that's added to that. You're still a slave. Please keep it and please believe it. Now you have all of these companies that are offering you credit. So now you're taking the credit, and now you got to pay back that credit. And then you got to take care of the house. You got to pay for that as well. Well, before you used to be able to live on your own land and eat off of your own ground. And so now you're still a slave. By the time you look at the last few pieces of money, after you put something away for saving in one of their slave buddy banks, you left with just a few dollars. You put that in your tank just to go back to the plantation and work again. Now, that's one piece of the slavery for the United States people. The second piece is that now we're all wearing masks because they said so. In a minute, I'm going to show you how the slavery is going to turn around. Because the way that it's going to turn around now is if you want to go to that job, you want to go to that plantation, you better have this vaccine in your body, or you're not going to be able to work here. And for those of you who don't work for whatever the reason, whether it be a health challenge or something is wrong, well, now you're getting food stamps because you have a specific issue in your household, not my household, yours, and I ain't going to fault you for that. But here's my point. Those food stamps, if you don't have this vaccine, you ain't getting no more of that. And if you have subsidized housing for whatever the reason, you will not get that unless you take this. So what it is now is just what the slavery is, what the slavery was, and where we're going now. When you have a birth certificate and a social security number that both have numbers on them, your social security card got a number on the back. Your birth certificate has a number in the lower right-hand corner. Why? You ever think of that? Why is your birthday, why is your birth certificate capitalized with your name? Why? You ever think about that? So there's so much stuff that's already been going on around us that we have not been privy to. And these things that they are allowing their slaves to know about, again, to return, you and I are both musicians, so to return to coda, it's just a way, okay? We're going to go back to the beginning, okay? You and I know that, all right? Okay? To return to coda, okay? It's just a way to keep us separated and fighting while they finish doing what they're doing to us. Because here's the deal. When they passed out those little chump change $1,200 checks, and I say chump change because the average American's rent or mortgage is a great deal higher than $1,200. Okay, where did the rest of that? Where did the rest of that money go? Because a lot of the businesses that were applying for those loans or for the expedited monies, they didn't get that money. There's still a lot of people waiting on the first checks. Did you know that? So
not literally, not locally. I did. I didn't know that, but I will say that's a great question, and this is going a little bit digress, but you did mention that we are musicians, which I was very much more than irritated to know that the for one, the Dems, they rallied for funding for the Kennedy Center, and then shortly after it was approved and signed, they dismissed the musicians and the conductor. And now you've had on the right some senators trying to get that money back, because they're trying to figure out where is that money.
That money gone. The Kennedy Center money is gone. That money is gone. That money went to China, went to somebody that they owed. Somebody owed somebody something, and that money is gone. And the reason that money gone. Money is gone, and there's a lot of people who stopped receiving their unemployment checks. Did you know that?
Well, was it because of the time period ran out on it, or was it the moratoriums, or was it just
it just stopped without any answers. I know several people between Georgia and Alabama who just stopped receiving it, and there's no reason, and these folks don't even know one another. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that are secretive that are going on behind the scenes. And I believe that a lot of that is because, by the time they're trying to fast track this thing so much that there are so many things that they're going to use as weapons to make sure that people get it. That's why I keep saying to people, make sure that your household is together as best that you can. None of us are billionaires, you know what I mean? And if we are, God bless you. But there's a lot of us who are just regular, everyday folks that don't have it like that. And so the only thing that you can do is start to just get yourself together, take care of your house, get a couple of extra bottles of peroxide when you go to the store, get one extra bottle of alcohol when you go. I mean, get what you need, get the things you need slowly but surely. because they have a plan for us. They really do have a plan. And if we can't see that by now, shame on us.
Well, that's more than well said. And might I add, throw in that extra bottle of witch hazel, if you will.
Yes. Yes. If you're using witch hazel, you better get you some.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. That's what I was mentioning earlier. I do think that yeah, there's a plan. There's been a plan, and they already know what the roles are. They already know where we are in that plan. So I really appreciate you so much for coming on, and you just really rip that whole thing apart, and you and you ran and you articulated everything that I've been thinking for but it's been for some time. It's been happening for some time, that you kind of have to step away from it. And but then when you go back to it, are you really missing a beat? I don't find that. The
I
Lockhart
don't.
perspective, I find like
Mhm.
it's almost like, what do you want to call it? Double Dutch, or
I
jumping
agree.
back in on the pulse. The pulse is
Mhm.
never that far. You're never that far off
I
off the
agree.
cycle, because it just, it's, to me, that's what it is. It is a cycle. And certain things will be back in the news before we know it. But this is, to me, this is a newer cycle, but it's going to
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, I
It's just
agree.
going to keep going.
I think this week we might find out something. And here's what I think. I think that if the president does get back in, okay, that after everything is done and all the dust settled in the electorate, which is for those of you people who know how to pray, begin to pray over those people, begin to pray over the electorate. Please pray, because these folks that are after, the country are going to stop at nothing. And so I'm sure they've got a lot of their bases covered, but I think that we need to pray for them. We need to pray for December the 14th. But I think that if he gets back in, we're going to see a different Trump. We're going to see the other side of that Gemini twin from June the 14th, which is his birthday, which is his birthday. We're going to see that other side. And if ain't nobody ever dealt with one of them folks before, like I say, I'm married to one, my daddy is one, and everybody I know is one. If you ain't ever seen that other twin come out, you just wait until old boy gets back in. Because I truly and honestly believe he'll have nothing to lose. It's just 4 more years, and that's going to be good. And hopefully, I truly hope that we do begin to see some of the things that we thought we would have seen the first 4 years. Generally, you got to toe the line that first 4 years. And then if you get in the second time, then you get to go ahead on it and do your dance. You know what I'm saying? You get to do the dance. So let's just hope. Let's just believe that, everything's going to be okay, that our country will be whole. And that's really all we can believe, is just pray and believe that we're going to be okay. But we cannot be blind to the facts. That is not allowed.
No, no. Yes. I do agree that and somebody coined it, the Gemini 45. I'm
Okay.
surprised somebody hasn't made a cap with that on it. Somebody will pick up what you're putting down. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I'm having my first experiences with Geminis, I guess. The most experience. You're teaching me a lot, the Lockhart perspective.
Well,
What do I need
I'm
to go
just
to
saying.
college for? I get a real
I,
education from you.
well, don't get
The
one. But
Lockhart.
whatever you do, don't bring no Geminis to the house. Don't you? Oh, this is a joke. You know what I'm saying? We're just joking about the astrological signs or whatever. But in all honesty, we just have to keep praying for those who are in leadership, that God reveals. See, that's what I was praying. If you remember, we were talking a few weeks ago, Black Spring, about I was just saying, hey, I'm not voting, but I am praying, and I believe that prayer is the most powerful tool that you have, because of the fact that we don't really know what either person has in their agenda or on their mind, or what they truly have in store for us. We got to pray and trust and believe that God knows. And because he knows, our prayers move him to do the things that's right for us. Right. And so what I was praying was for the revelation of the truth. That's what I've been praying for. I've been saying, Father, as they go out and they try to cheat. And this was on the whole day of the election day, before we ever even, before we ever even had our polls opening in different states or whatever in the morning. Early that morning, I was up praying. And all I was praying was for revelation. I wanted to be revealed. Any cheating, let it be revealed. Let those who are wrong, let them be brought to justice. Deal with them, God. Deal with them. That's my prayer, and that's still going to be my prayer, because God is not mocked. All the stuff that people are doing right now, the Bible even tells us that. Be not deceived, for God is not mocked. That which a man sows, he shall also reap. So what these people are putting out there, oh, just keep praying and live a little longer. Just keep praying, live a little longer, and you're going to see it. It's going to happen. But we just have to be, we can't be attached to any side in order for us to pray like that.
Touche. The sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, I think you have to you've got to hold on to something, and you got to realize, I think where did I hear this? I'm not the originator of this, that God lets us know where we rank in the scheme of things.
Okay.
And that's where I kind of, I like to err on that side, even in these events. And that's why I've decided to, just kind of step back. Let me just watch. I'm stand by.
I'm laughing at old head Deuce, who always keeps us in stitches. He said that vaccine gospel pack will be too expensive for me. Old head Deuce, we love you. We love you, old head. You are just too funny to me. He is hilarious. That vaccine gospel pack will be too expensive.
Yeah, we don't.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah, well, he is a special star on the Black Spring channel.
He is unbelievable. He cracks me up. I just love it. Well, sweetie, I appreciate you for inviting me. Thank you so much. I appreciate that video. And we'll just wait and see.
Yes. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give a word to our wonderful sponsors. And some of you are here tonight, and I'm happy to have everyone here. The subscribers, the patrons, the Periscope, if anybody's here from Periscope, thank you so much. And also, I'm going to give an extra thanks to the Lockhart Perspective, because she absolutely she is impeccable, and her wisdom is gold standard everywhere. Everything she touches turns to gold. So with that said, I'm going to have a word from our sponsors, and I'll be back to round us out on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn.
And I say to God,
if you're looking for great content creators on the subject of automobiles, current events, politics, culture, history, you name it, take a look at our patrons: Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Chrysler Imperial H, Let the Truth Be Told, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Cold War Jesus, and Anthony Scioli. And now, back to the news. Okay, I'm sorry, the Lockhart Perspective. I didn't mean to clip you there, but
no, I was
final
just saying,
the final word. If
those great things, all those great accolades that you were giving to me, all I was saying was, to the Most High Yah be glory, because none of the things that I have inside of me are mine to boast or brag about. It's all about what He has done in my life and who He has made me. As bold as I am, I was not as bold as I should have been for several years. And so I give all the glory to Him. And so I just want to say that. That's all. Just remember to keep Him first and give Him what's His.
And thank you so much. I couldn't have said that better myself, or I could just say amen. I could just say that, and I think that would be more than enough. But I want to thank everybody so much once again for coming in on this bit of an 11th hour flash stream, and hope you gained some perspective and maybe increased your lot on the greatest show on earth. And of course, I'll see you guys around next week for another live stream, a flash stream in the video, or even on a moonlight stream. So you guys have a great start of your week, and see you next time. And thank you so much again, the Lockhart Perspective. Good night, everyone.
Night.